All right, all right, all right. Welcome, welcome everyone. Thanks for being here on this Thursday, June 5th, 2025, as some call it, if you can believe it. And yeah, we're here for another episode of Quest-i-on, the quest to illuminate the single eye. And as we do in these shows, I love to play songs to bring us in and carry us out from a specific artist each show. And this one you've heard before, but this artist is Mumford and Sons, and truly one of my all-time favorite bands. And these are two songs, and the other two songs I'm going to play are from their latest album, Rushmere, which just came out this year. So I actually, even in just an album, I had a hard time choosing which songs to put forward, because every single one of them is talking about the Christed message. It's all talking about this Christic path. And so, yeah, let's go through the lyrics and see what we see. So going back to the first song, Monochrome. And so monochrome, what is that? It's a singular color. So oneness, right? So the lyrics state, though you and I are getting so much clearer, and it's getting clearer every day. So we're following the path, we're following the way, we're following the Christic route. The stillness yet has an ache in its silence. So it's challenging. You know, like we all find challenges as we grow more accustomed to meditation and pull away from society and all the noise. So that line, the stillness yet has an ache in its silence, knowing, again, alluding to what it's talking about, the way, which is about stillness and silence, to go within, but just adding that it still has an ache in its silence. You know, it's still challenging, but it's better than the other way, because there are only two paths. There's life and there's death. So we choose the life path, even if it's challenging, because it's certainly better than the other way. And then it says hyacinth girl. So I had to look up hyacinth, and that's a type of flower that it's either white, blue, or purple. So hyacinth girl with those colors. Well, if we look at a chakra scale, blue and purple are going to be the highest, and white is purity. So hyacinth girl, that's the divine influence, the Holy Spirit, if you will. Hyacinth girl, you are peace. So this higher way, you are peace. You know, to elevate oneself out of the muck and the troubles and the warringness of the lower chakras, and elevate oneself to the blue and the purple, the head, the heaven. So hyacinth girl, you are peace. There is life in the ground beneath your feet. So this life path, and again, alluding to the sacred mother, Mother Earth. So hyacinth girl, feminine, that divine influence, and then life in the ground beneath your feet, the earth and its gift of life. And then it says beyond reason. So beyond the sort of left brain logic and reason, which there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with logic and reason. But if we stay locked into where everything has to make sense, and everything has to be in reason, then we're cutting ourselves off from the divine. So it's bringing that logic and reason into unification with that which is beyond. So the marriage of the left and right hemispheres, or the head and the heart. And then it says monochrome. So again, that oneness, that singularity out of sight, because it's not with our physical eyes to see. It's beyond perception. It's beyond the senses. So monochrome, out of sight. And then it continues, the kind of love I'm always chasing is the kind of love that won't be chased. So you can't take heaven by force. This is an allowing. This is a surrendering to. This is a receiving. We have to open up. That's the feminine influence, to open up to receive so that we can receive this divine influence. So it's the kind of love that won't be chased, in that we cannot forcefully chase this love. We have to allow it in. And then it continues, I had no fear at the bottom of my cup, but now it's dry. I am afraid. So as we're falling, as our cup is becoming less and less, we might not have the fear yet of running out. But now we're at the bottom. Now we've hit that rock bottom moment. We're at that eucatastrophe, that point where I'm wanting to turn around. So that's the momentum of the bottom of that U. We swing down so that that trajectory, the momentum shifts us back upwards again. So now it's dry, I'm afraid. And that, not that I'm giving in to the fears, but I'm letting go of this attachment of whatever it was that was leading me to fall. I'm ready to get it right. And then it repeats, Hyacinth girl, you are peace. You know, that blue, purple, white aura, that higher self, you are peace. There is life in the ground beneath your feet. Restoration, monochrome out of sight. So restoration, this is the restoring us back to our true self. We are not lost or broken, or we are perfect as we are, but we just forgot. So we have to restore our memory. We have to restore our sense of self, our sovereignty. So that's the restoration. Back to the monochrome out of sight, where our connection with God, the monochrome, the singular, out of sight, it's beyond perception, physical senses, but we are one with that. So I didn't come to win you over, Hyacinth girl, you are peace. I didn't come to win you over in that this is not something that we are forced to do. This is a free will opportunity. And of course, we have, we have an innate desire to follow this, even if no matter how far we fall into forgetfulness, we want to, because it's truly our highest path. So we want to do what we want to do, but it's not something that can be forced. This is something that we come to in our own time, in our own way. So and then I love this, like they're not even hiding that this is about the Christ. Of course, like we talk about how in these songs they have to speak in code and allude to things without naming them specifically to avoid the scrutiny of the industries, the money that seeks to clamp down on those kind of messages from getting out. But here they're just saying it. So there's life. He said life 2 other times, and then this one, there's Christ and the ground beneath your feet. Just making it very obvious what they're referring to. Restoration and the rewritten code. So our DNA, all this stuff that they claim is junk DNA, the 90 to 95% of us that they have no idea what the hell it does. So the rewritten code is restoring the restoration, rewritten code, bringing us back to our full alignment, our fullest and highest self, and then some. There's no limit to it. So yeah, it's a very powerful song. I love this song. I love this whole album. I really do find it just so good. And they are on tour right now, and I will be seeing them at some point. So I just love this band very much. Mumford and Sons. And then the next song. So this song is just a clear sort of FU to the churchianity version and distortions put forward by the church. So the song's called Carry On, and it starts, if this is what it's like to be unholy, man, if this is what it's like to be lost. So if you're saying that I am unholy, if you're saying that I'm lost, I will take this heresy, as you call it, over your hypocrisy. So Jesus was very clear even in the canonical gospel, to rebuke the Pharisees. And he called them hypocrites many times. Woe unto you, hypocrites. Because it's full of hypocrisy. It's full of just, it doesn't even make sense in its own way. So I will take this heresy, what you call heresy, over your hypocrisy. I'm done with you, church. And count any cost. So, whatever they claim we are going to lose, and you do. You lose when you start to stamp away from society and what's been crafted to support those who hold on to society. It is a cost. It's a physical cost. But there's also a great reward that's non-physical, that can have physical things with it, but it is beyond physical. So I will count any cost to step away from this hypocrisy. So again, or continuing, if this is what it's like to be empty again, so the claim that anyone stepping away from the church is empty, if this is what it's like to be adrift by your standards, I will take this darkness as you claim. So reading from the church's hypocritical perspective, I will take this darkness over any light you cast, you in all your original sin. So it's not saying that we're leading ourselves into darkness, but through this inverted perspective that the church describes, where so many things are wrong, but so their idea of what is darkness and light is inverted. So I will take this darkness, as you claim, over any light you cast, any false light that you cast, you in all your original sin. So this bullshit lie, like arguably one of the most heinous, disgusting, horrific lies that one could ever tell to try and impart onto others. It's a nasty, nasty black spell of original sin. So I will take anything else over this nonsense that you try and cast on us. And then the chorus, carry on, which is kind of like maybe a homage to Kansas, carry on my wayward son. There'll be peace when you are done. Lay your weary head to rest. Don't you cry no more. So carry on is in, and we are wayward sons. We are going towards the way. We are wayward sons and daughters of Christ. So carry on in this song. Carry on despite all of the nonsense that society and the church might throw at you for stepping away from it. Carry on. Because there's no evil in a child's eyes. Like anyone who can look at a child, a little baby, and say that's evil, that's wicked, that's a sinner, there's something really wrong. There's something really wrong with that. Because every time I see a child, it is just the most light-filled, of course, like children can have their Babylonian inspired moments of tantrums and whatever else. But that pure essence, that untainted, untarnished, beautiful essence within, it's so pure. It's so wonderful. So there's no evil in a child's eyes. So carry on. There's still a stillness over the deep. So that stillness over the deep being creation and all that is within it. But this stillness, God is over it all. And there is still a word in the night, as in even in this darkest part of our history and where we are, there's still a word. There is still the word. Those who followed the way and taught it and lived it, not the distortions pulled out of it, but the true word. The day blind stars over our heads again wait with their light. So maybe saying the day blind stars over our heads again, maybe it's referring to these stars being like a consistent reminder of the light. To the day blind stars over our heads again. as in the light-giving stars to shine the path and shine the way over our heads again, so we're oriented correctly, so they wait with their light. So carry on, because there's no evil in a child's eyes. It was made, and it was good. God, goodness, is the fabric. It's the baseline code within this whole experience is God, goodness. So to claim inherently anything otherwise is and will always be a huge falsity. And that's what this song is pointing out and alluding to, and it's a wonderful representation of that. So again, Mumford and Sons from the new album Rushmere, the songs Monochrome and Carry On. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed that. Thanks again for being here. And yeah, what's been going on? So yeah, it's been quite a few weeks. As I'm sure many of you have seen some of the posts I've been making. So I just wanted to give a quick update there before we dive into the regular show. So I spent the last 2 weeks going on a very impromptu, very spur of the moment, well, for me at least, trip out west. So as I mentioned in the post describing that, and talked about in the little gathering we had the other week, I was offered this opportunity to travel with Matt, who many of you know, Jill. It's her son, and he was planning on going out west, and a friend of his canceled at the last minute. So, I mean, he was still prepared to go by himself, but they had everything paid for and whatnot. So his mom Jill asked if I could go with Matt, and Matt was, I made sure to ask Matt. I was like, Matt, are you sure you want me to go with, or would you rather go by yourself? But no, he was very excited about me going. And so when I had that nod, that was all I needed to say, absolutely. Like, I would love to go see some beautiful areas of this country and spend time doing that. Like, I love that. So I had an absolutely wonderful time. We had a great time together. We listened to a lot of these songs that we've been going over in these shows, and just talked about a whole bunch of good stuff. So it was a lot of fun on the car rides, and of course the places that we stopped and saw along the way. And once we got to sort of the Grand Teton, Yellowstone area, we spent most of the time there, and every bit of it was just gorgeous. Like, you know, it was like the weather could not have been any better. I kept saying, as we'd sit out somewhere, I kept saying, like, you know, if I had to design a day and the weather to go on this hike or go hang out at this spot or go drive around and see these different areas, I couldn't have designed it any better. You know, the light breeze and cool, not too hot, but sun shining, blue skies, clouds to provide texture for, you know, the views. And it was amazing. It truly was just amazing everywhere we went. And yeah, I'm glad I got to share some of the insights into it with the little videos. And I've started, as you've maybe noticed, I've started doing videos a lot more than pictures, because I just feel like it captures the essence so much more to do a short little video, because then you get to hear the sounds and see any variation to the view. So I really enjoyed taking those, and I got a lot of good feedback from those who enjoyed seeing them. So thank you for that. And yeah, so trip went very smoothly all the way up until the very last day of our time in Yellowstone. And as you might have seen, so this actually happened on Friday, but I didn't do a post until a couple of days ago about it, just because we were figuring things out. Yeah, just kind of working through all the mess that comes with that. And so on the last day that we were in the park, I was driving behind somebody who was going very slowly, and I went in the left lane to overtake. It's just a 2-lane road, and what I didn't see was a car up ahead that was stopped and turning left into a parking lot. So they were going to turn left and cut across the lane that I was using to overtake. And so they started to turn left. I swerved to miss them. Unfortunately, didn't hit anybody else. Nobody else got hit, but we went into the median and hit a mound and a rock. And it, I mean, we were airborne for a few seconds. It felt like, who knows how long it was really, and landed and airbags deployed. And yeah, it was really intense, you know, really intense little moment. But I will say that even in the whole scene, I can like recall very vividly, and throughout every bit of it, I felt like it was all okay. Like, it was like, I was surprised. It was like, you know, a weird thing to witness and all of a sudden be in this kind of situation and, you know, come to at, with the airbags deployed and dust all in the car and all of that. But throughout the whole thing, I knew we were okay. Of course, I asked Matt next to me, I asked him if he was okay. But before I even asked him that, I knew he was okay. I knew I was okay. And it was just like, okay, well, here's something that we got to deal with. Here's another challenge or opportunity for us to stay strong in our faith and know that everything happens for a reason. I don't even need to know what those reasons are, but here we are with it, and I can trust that. So I was really amazed with Matt, you know, who's 19 and wise beyond his years, because he was very calm through the whole situation. And even though it was his car and, you know, he had just gotten the car not too long ago, he was still very, very okay with it all. I even told him, I was like, if you're angry with me or whatever, like, it's okay. Like, that's all right. We, you know, but he was like, no, I'm not mad. I'm just glad we're okay. And, yeah, so it was quite the experience to go through, and just a, yeah, like I said, I felt very at peace through the whole thing. I mean, I of course, as you do, like, the thoughts creep in of like, oh man, I wish I had, you know, turned this way, or I had just dealt with the slow car and not tried to overtake them, or, you know, all these things. I start messing with my head, but it was very quick to come back to like, no, this needed to happen as it did, and so let's just keep open to that. And so we had a lot of wonderful help from park rangers and a police officer and the fire department to come help clean up, and then the tow truck that came. And so, you know, it all went relatively smoothly. After that point, I had some hiccups with like getting a rental and getting everything ironed out with insurance and all of that. But I'm very grateful for Jill to help out with all of that. She was an angel to step in and assist with that. So, but yeah, we are both okay, and that's really all that matters. And it's just stuff. So it was like just a great reminder in that. And I told Matt, like, you know, whatever happens and whatever happens with insurance, I will make sure that he gets what he needs to replace that. So no worries there. If I have to dip into any more, you know, precious metals or anything like that, I certainly will, because yeah, you know, I don't want him being stranded. But it seems like everything's working out. Like, we've had some good conversations with the insurance, and they seem like they're going to take it well and do what they need to do as we pay them to, and take care of this. So yeah, just wanted to give an update there. Oh, kind of a funny little bit that happened, you know, as we're in these moments, I still just love the comedy that God puts in all these moments. Because like, we're waiting at the parking lot for the tow truck, and so had already talked with the police, and the firefighters were helping to clean up the oil mess and all of that. And then the tow truck finally pulls up, and out step these like two really beautiful young women. And I was just like, wow, I've never seen that version of a scene before. The tow truck pulls up, and these two beautiful young women hop out, and they were the ones who hooked up the car and towed it up and gave us a ride back. So it's just funny funny to have that happen as well. You know, so I couldn't help but laugh at that, and I told them how surprising that was for me as well, which was just funny. But anyway, there's humor in everything, and there's always a nod from, at least, I mean, I can't speak for anybody else, but I'm quite certain that God is always placing these little comedic nods in your life, and He certainly does in mine. And so yeah, it was just another great opportunity and practice. And I love talking with Matt, because he's very video game oriented as well. So we have a lot in common as far as talking in that way. And so he was talking about how we'd go on different side quests, which if you're familiar with role-playing games, the side quests are the ones that are not mandatory for you to do to complete the game, but they're optional, and you usually get better things or level up in different ways. And so we did a lot of side quests. So we talk about that kind of stuff, but in just the concept of leveling up in these different ways, I know that both of us were tested as far as like our patience and our fortitude and our resilience and calmness through a situation like that, our faith. And I know that we both did very, very well through that. So yeah, thanks everyone for the well wishes and the kind words and support and all those different things. I really appreciate that. If you are able to help financially, that's very appreciated. Just as I said in the post about it, that all of that's just going to go to help Matt get the car that he needs. So insurance is going to get us back something, but you know how that goes. So I just want to make sure that there's a little bit extra so that he can make sure he gets what he needs. And like I said, I will be helping to pad that too, whatever is necessary. But just if you feel like helping with that at all, that is greatly appreciated. So that's at gibsongo.com/replace Matt's car. I'll put that link up on the screen just so you can see it. And that's, greatly appreciated by those who have helped and those who will. Thank you. Let me just share that real quick. So there you go. You can see the screen and that picture, which was pretty intense. I have more. I have one other picture in a video, but in it you can see like a trail where we flew and then slid across the ground that far. It's pretty miraculous. And everyone in the parking lot was like, before everyone left, because most people kind of left right away. But everyone was just amazed that we were okay. And I was too, when I saw the car, but at the same time, it was a no-brainer to me that we were going to be okay, and everything that was okay. So a great opportunity there. So yeah, that's about all I need to get into as far as announcements and things. Just happy to be back doing a show like this, and thanks for shifting on the time. I think this time might suit a little better, so I think we'll just shift it from now moving forward. If anyone has any like major problems with a time shift, I'm not saying that I will cater to everyone who has an issue with a certain time slot, but I do like to hear, because I don't always know like when people can do things, and I try and organize stuff so it suits many time zones. And this time slot is actually one of the best for catering to the whole world of anyone in the world of listeners. So it's late enough in the rising for those in Australia and Asia to hop on, where it's not super early. I mean, it's still pretty early, but not like crazy early in the morning. And then it's not too late for our UK and European friends and family, where they can join at least for a couple hours. And then, it's a good time in the US as well. So yeah, but again, if you have feedback on a time change or shift, I'm always happy to hear it, and any feedback is appreciated. And I just use that to, make decisions in the future. So yeah, we'll shift it to now for now. And, thanks for being here. So that said, if you are first time listening to a show like this, just know that this is a space where we gather and ask questions and share our experiences, share what we've learned, and everything is a potential topic for us to go into in a deeper way. So anything that comes up, there's really nothing that is off limits. There's nothing that's off topic because it's all connected in some way or another. So if you have a question at any point, feel free to raise your hand, which in Telegram, if you're unfamiliar, is just hitting that center button, and that signals to me to open up your mic. And once your mic is open, I'll call on you when there's a time to get to you. And if your mic is already open, then just wait for a quiet moment and an opportunity to jump into the conversation, and feel free to do that. If you have a hard time doing that, then just toggle your mic on and off, and I'll do my best to see it, and then I'll call on you at that point. So yeah, without further ado, I think we'll just jump into it today. So if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand. I have some written questions offline, which anyone is always welcome to send me, and I do my best to keep them so we can go to those. But I do love to give priority to those who are here live on the call. It just makes for a more dynamic conversation. So yeah, I'll just give a moment and see if anybody wants to jump in. All right. Well, here is one, and this is one I don't have a lot of information on, but I'd like to relay the question and see if maybe somebody else has something on it. And something I forgot to mention, this is not like, I'm happy to help, and I love helping answer questions, but I'm not claiming to have all the answers. I'm not claiming to know everything. How boring would that be if we did? So I'm learning and growing just alongside you. So if you find yourself having insight or extra stuff that you want to share on any topic, feel free to jump in as well. This is a dynamic conversation. This is a space where we can all share. And so if you find yourself knowing about something that I haven't touched on enough or whatever, just feel free to jump in. So that said, on this question, I won't have a lot to share, but I'd like to relay it anyway in case somebody else does. So Sarah H. asked about student loans. So she's basically saying, do you know anyone in the U.S. who has just flat out defaulted on their loans, did not apply for an income-based repayment plan, just let them go into default, and what happened? So she's tired of that, and she's the process for applying for income-based plans keeps them, it's just an annoying process to have to deal with. And, we know that those prices are just insane as far as how big they are. And so she's just asking what happens if you just stop paying them, basically. And what I told her is that I don't have any experience there. I fortunately didn't have too high of student loans, and I was able to pay them back, and I did. But that's not the case for most people. Student loans can be crazy high. So she was asking, what happens if that occurs? And I'll just say from my experience, the only comparable experience I have is with credit cards. And with credit cards, I know from experience and from reading from others that they don't really have any leverage on you over credit cards besides cutting you off from the credit card and then destroying your credit, so your credit rating. So if neither of those things matter to you, then they have no leverage on you. So that has been my experience. I mean, back, of course, we thought this was going to pop off years ago. And so years ago, I maxed out the credit cards I had, and and I knew the system. Like, for anyone who thinks that that's immoral or stealing or anything like that, they have already stolen from us. Any line of credit we apply for, they've already paid for it out of our our birth bond. We're already valued at millions, if not more, of dollars that they continually pull out of anytime we apply for a line of credit. So everything that we do within credit cards or any type of loan has already been paid for, and any repayment of those loans, they're double dipping. They're asking for more just to add that extra layer of pain and suffering on us in this debt-based usury slavery system. So I knew that. And because they didn't have any leverage, I was like, okay, whatever, we're just going to forget about that. And the worst they ever did was try and call and, just don't answer that. And they try and send letters, nothing really. And yeah, my credit score tanked. So, but that wasn't important to me. So take that into consideration if that score is needed for you in some way or another. But that's credit cards. As far as student loans, I don't know what else they have as far as leverage goes. I know with a car payment, they have the car as leverage, so they can repossess the car. So that's different. And with other loans, like there's often collateral and things that they can get access to and sometimes get into bank accounts and things like that, but they don't have that ability with credit cards. I'm not sure what they can do with student loans if they have that. Not that they really have that authority, but under the bullshit legalese system. So yeah, that's all I have there. But I would ask if there's anybody else that has experience in that and knows the consequences of what happened if you just stop paying those, or if you hear this recording later and you want to reach out to Sarah, that would be appreciated as well, or just relaying it in JC family. That's great also. Janie, I saw you raise your hand. Did you have something you wanted to share on that?
Hi, Justin. Hi, everyone. Yeah, first I'd like to say that I'm so glad you're okay with that accident that you guys had. That's not a really good way to end the trip, but I'm so glad you guys were all okay. And also, yeah, I co-signed on a loan for our first daughter, and it's like $65,000 or whatever it is. I can't remember what it was. And it was only my co-sign was supposed to come off after 2 years. This is what talking to loan officers and all that stuff. And my daughter paid on it. Her payments were like $800 a month right out of college. Some ridiculous amount. And I was still working at the time. I did not ever pay on any of the loans. But once she started a family, she could not afford these payments anymore. So she just reneged on her loan, which I never paid on anything. So it messed up her credit score and it messed up my credit score. My credit score was in the high 800s and now it's down in the, 500, 600 range. But again, like you said, Justin, it didn't matter to me. I didn't care. I was at that point where it didn't matter. Still doesn't. They still try to call me. And I tell them, I'm 62 years old. I'm on a limited income, and I'm not going to pay my daughter's education. Sorry, I'm just not. And I just hang up on them. Sometimes I play with them for a while. It just depends on my mood. But yeah, it's all a scam. It's just ridiculous. And I'm not saying don't pay on it because, like I said, if you are worried about your credit score, go ahead and keep paying them. But if that doesn't matter to you, then there's no, I haven't had any repercussions. And she's been out since 2019, I think it was. So that's my little story with student loans. And yeah, like I said, I'll never pay a penny on that. I just won't. I just won't. Anyway, that's my experience with that. Love y'all.
Yeah, thanks, Janie. Thanks for sharing your experience there. And yeah, that's kind of what I imagined. Thanks, Darth, for sending. He just looked it up. What happens if you just let it go? So here are what's listed on Google, at least, for the consequences, and it says financial penalties, wage garnishment. The government can garnish a portion of your wages up to 15%. Tax refund offset. Your tax refunds can be withheld to cover the loan balance. Social Security benefits offset up to 15% of your Social Security benefits can be taken, and then collection fees will add to whatever they deem the total is. So that's what they possibly can. So if you are working for a traditional employer, then that could present another problem. Or if you're still doing the tax refund game, that can be an issue as well. But yeah, so of course in this response, they make it seem so serious and like you should never do that. But there are consequences. So one, with anytime you go up against the behemoth of the system, you have to be willing to, you have to be willing to face whatever's going to be thrown your way. And here's an add-on. So student loans are different from other types of loans and can be considered more serious in some aspects due to their unique characteristics and implication. Here's why. So difficulty in bankruptcy discharge. Unlike other debts like credit cards or medical bills, student loans are rarely discharged in bankruptcy. To discharge student loan debt in bankruptcy, you must prove undue hardships, which is a stringent requirement and often a difficult legal battle. No statute of limitations for federal student loans. Federal student loans generally do not have a statute of limitations. This means the government can pursue collections efforts indefinitely, even years after the debt is incurred. So there's that layer of it as well. So yeah, it's an interesting topic, but
again,
yeah.
Justin, who's writing these rules? I mean, who's putting the limits on these rules? And I just hope to God that all of that changes sometime.
Oh, undoubtedly, this whole thing is going away. It's just the question is how long does it take for us to do that? And that's not clear. While things are continuing to accelerate, and like we're seeing Trump retruth layers about Biden being dead and executed years ago, and stuff like that. So like they're continuing to drip more and just make it completely. I mean, to me, it's undeniable that the connection between Q and Trump and all this that's happening, it still hasn't happened fully. And we've seen the slow drip and how long it's taken to get to this point. So I'm not going to sit there and claim that it's going to happen super soon, even though it might, but it could also take years. So it's like how long, like, be strategic with what you're doing and what you're willing to stand up against and deal with. And it's like I've talked about this when people ask about advice on making decisions in regards to like legal issues and lawsuits and all of that. And I can never answer that for somebody else because I don't know everything. I'm not in their position. But generally, how I make those kind of decisions is like, is this worth my peace? Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is worth my peace to stand up to bullies or do something in that way. Sometimes it's worth going through the trouble. But most of the time, it's not. And especially when the system's designed against you, sometimes the best thing is just to find the path of least resistance for now and work with that. So anyway, just some more thoughts around that. But thanks for the question, Sarah, and thanks for the input, Janie and Darth. And yeah, I'll just pass it back and see if anyone else wants to jump in. All right. Well, if no one else has anything on a different topic, then I can shift it with these offline questions. So here's another one. this one's from Roxy, and she asked about a specific parasite cleanse from Barbara O'Neill. So it looks like it's a mixture of turmeric and garlic as a parasite cleanse. So garlic is really intense. It's like a very specific medicine, but it's pretty like other plants and animals and things. They don't fuck with garlic. And to me, that shows why it's something that's not just a spice to throw in everything, but it has very powerful qualities to it. And so we should be using it medicinally and with care and with knowledge of like what is this thing doing for us. There's some yogic cultures that won't eat garlic because they note an inclination towards anger and wrath in people who regularly consume garlic. So that's something that they avoid. Now, does that mean that it could be effective at doing a parasite cleanse? Maybe. It's possible. But it's why it's hard to like just go with some video or some recommendation and say that that's the best thing to do for everyone, because it probably really depends on where you are. And, you know, while I do think that regular parasite cleanses can be helpful, there's also the risk of falling into this idea that we have to just continually cleanse our body past the point where it's even healthy any longer. It's like becomes an obsession of always getting parasites out and things of that nature. So again, I'm not saying like not to focus on that or to find remedies or things that can be helpful, but also note where we do, depending on where we are, we have like a symbiotic relationship with what you might call parasites. Like Candida, for example. It's Candida overgrowth is very harmful. When we eat things that Candida loves to feed on, it can become overgrown and it starts to feed on us. So this fungal parasite presents a problem at that point. However, without Candida, if we ate any of these things, any type of like cooked food or dense things, we wouldn't be able to digest it, and that would present a whole lot of other problems. So there is a somewhat symbiotic relationship with it. Not saying that it has to be something that we maintain indefinitely, but note what it's there doing and what it's providing. You know, the body it's not always just being invaded by parasites. Sometimes it's like it's a intentional inviting in of that energy in order to address whatever state we are in whatever moment. So I just say that as an example to maybe reframe the relationship with these organisms and things that the bacteria and all the layers within us that provide our microbiome and the balance within ourselves. It's not always just to purge everything and that's another thing that garlic does. It's antibiotic. So it's a very powerful antibiotic, and we know that just sort of wiping the slate clean isn't always the best thing to do. Now, in some instances, that's very appropriate and can help somebody from a very serious, run-in with a bacterial overgrowth or fungal overgrowth or whatever. So again, it's difficult to give a catch-all kind of response on that. So, and then the other mixture, it seems like it's turmeric. I haven't watched the video, but that's what it looks like it does. And limes. So you do limes, black pepper, turmeric, and garlic, I think. I can't say at all. if I would just say if somebody feels called to that, then try it and just note how your body feels and what happens with it and see if there's anything, and then you'll know if that's something that suits you or felt good in that space or not so much, or But it's also hard to distinguish too, because sometimes the path to healing is not feeling so good for a little bit. But then that can also be not feeling so good for a little bit because you're depleted on something, or you're cleansing it a bit too hard for you in that particular moment. So it's always balance. The middle way is key. So that's all I've really got to say there. I don't have any direct experience on that, but just generally speaking about parasites and parasite cleanses and that whole topic. So I will just leave that one there and see if anyone else wants to jump in either on that topic or take us a new direction. Hey, Jill. Go ahead, sister.
Hi, Justin. Hi, everyone. So we'll have to go back a little bit. But I just wanted to say that, as I had said before, Justin and Matt left on the trip, I had joked as I was looking for things to do on the journey. I had said, I don't know if I put it in the JC chat that it was like horseback riding was a couple $100, or this tour was a couple $100, and I said, going across country with Justin Carpenter is priceless. And I'm sure that as Justin was either flying through the air or landing safely, knowing that everything was all right, and they were all right, and everything would be all right, because he knows my heart, he knows Matt's heart, and nothing matters in our family. And I can honestly say I wouldn't change a thing. If I was brought the scenario that this was going to happen, it would be perfectly okay. It was worth it. Matt was still, last night, we were discussing things, he's still laughing out loud about something that Justin said, or exchanges that they had between the music and the conversation and the entire thing. And he's super excited because one video that he had made, which he made a lot, and actually I have to say that he was monetized on TikTok before he left, and a lot of the money that even went towards to buying the car on last month was for that. So that was humbling for him, to think about that. There was money that he had made, and he was like, I can make some more. I can make some more. So he gets it, but he was just and as am I, because that was such a self thing, and leave Darth and his family for a bit, and his beloved dog, and to take Matt on this journey. And I'm still so eternally grateful, obviously, that they got home safe, but for the experience. And as Justin had said, to me, that Matt and him are very similar on their human design, which is so neat that this all happened the way it happened. And so I just wanted to speak on Matt's behalf, that he was really just so grateful that for the whole experience, and that it's just a vehicle, it's just money. We do not care about that, and it'll work out the way it's supposed to work out, as we all know. Thank you to anyone who does contribute. We do appreciate that. And Matt appreciates it, of course, and that's that. So I love you all. Bye now.
Oh, thanks, Jill. Really appreciate that. Yeah, Matt is just an amazing guy, and we had so much fun together. And yeah, it really says a lot about him. Of course, like, we can talk a big game, and we can talk about having faith, and all of that. We can talk about that a lot, but it's really what happens when what happens when things go down? Like, where's your faith at that point? And that moment was a huge showing for me. But then all throughout the trip, it was just such a, such a clear showing of just what a gift he is and what a light he is. So yeah, we had a great time together. And as she mentioned, it was kind of another funny moment because, I looked up his human design, and I've never met anybody who has a human design that looks as much like mine as far as the chart and everything, how everything's laid out. And some of the gates and channels were very similar, or the same, which if you don't know, it's I don't want to say it's a bad thing. It can be a helpful and a challenging layer to a relationship when you have a very similar human design. For like partnerships and going into business in any way, romantically or in a business, it's ideal not to have matching human designs, because you end up bumping into each other's energies in ways that can make it challenging. And for me and Matt, that showed up, and why I looked it up initially, because I just kind of had a suspicion that there was something like that, because we always had a hard time making decisions, and come to find out that he's a projector. He's got very similar centers filled, and that's kind of so projectors have a very high overview look on things, and that can make decision making challenging, because we see the best in all ways. We see the best opportunities, the pros and cons of any directions, and so it makes making decisions difficult. So after we went through that a few times, just nothing, just very amicable, but just kind of joking. I'm like, I don't know, what do you want to do? I don't know, what do you want to do? I looked it up and just laughed at that. But from the perspective of like a mentor, it's very helpful, because if someone has your same chart, like I know a lot of the ways of not exactly, like we do have some differences, but I know a lot of the ways of how he ticks and how he operates. So I was able to share some insight into strategies that have helped me, and so it's very beneficial from that perspective. So just a note on the human design and the similarities there. And thanks again, Jill, for the kind words. And I don't know where Matt is on TikTok. I don't know if, Jill, off the top of your head. Oh, actually, I might have found it. This might be an old one. Oh yeah, no, this is it. So Matty Wars on TikTok, MVP, but at Matty Wars is his TikTok name, and then on Instagram as well is at Matty Wars. So you can check out his other stuff. He posted a lot of great videos, and he was much like, I was amazed at what he could produce just with his little phone. He's editing and creating videos, which, I know how much work and sort of painstaking stuff of trimming things and fitting things together and finding all of that. And he was just able to do it, just while we were driving somewhere or just in the hotel or whatever, and came up with some great videos. So definitely recommend checking out his stuff there. And but thanks again, Jill. And I will just pass it off. And I see Peggy had your hand raised. Go ahead, sister.
Hey there. I'm glad to be back in the space of sharing and caring and love. And prior to Justin talking about the human design chart, my first initial remark or reply or share for the group was how awesome of an experience it must have been for Justin to actually know, actually all of us, but actually like know and be able to live through knowing that you're like someone, and all of what you have learned and perceived, and all of what you're going to be able to teach us through this like incredible divine universal experience that you both shared. I mean, I'm just sitting here just like thinking like random thoughts about just the experience and how much both of you can take out of this and how much you could share for everyone to learn and grow and know who we are. And also, with that being said, just while listening to your reply, Justin, I've not done any studying on the twin flames. I've heard things about twin flames, and someone on this chat I'm sure knows maybe about, like, I think, isn't your twin flame, a twin flame can be your twin flame soul sister or your twin flame brother. It doesn't have to be your twin flame, like, per se, air quote, husband and wife experience. So we have a lot of different twin flames out there. So just from the little bit that I know, I mean, is that not what a twin flame is? Is the mirror image of you? I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, good question. So I don't really get too deep into the twin flame terminology, because anytime I have definitions change quite a lot based on who's talking about it. So to me, it's like we are the light, we are that flame, and we are supposed to ignite. And if we have a twin flame, someone who is igniting in that same way, to where it merges together and becomes that sort of double helix, that double spiral of the DNA coiling together. So within ourselves, we have the twin flames of the masculine and feminine energies that are here to be balanced, and then they coil together as those twin flames rising up. And then you would embody that with another individual. I tend to see it more romantically, but I've also heard that put forward as well. And I don't know. I don't put so many labels on it. It's more just like beautiful connections that we get to see. And yeah, I mean, there's no accidents with people that come into our lives, and no accidents with what happened on this trip. And so yeah, I don't have any much further to say on the topic, though. Just other than just I don't really gravitate towards those terms myself. But that's just me.
Oh, no, well understood. It was just something random that came up while I was listening to you all speak. It wasn't like I had a question about it that I thought about yesterday. It was just random. Like I said, I never really did any other than learning what I heard on the chat, which thank you for the reminder. But I mean, I've heard things about twin flames, but like I've said, I just kind of like let it go in one ear and out the other. But your connection is what was like truly real, and that you both could, I don't know, I can't imagine. I can only imagine. And now hearing you speak of your journey, how wonderful it was for the both of you, because I know how wonderful this journey is and has been for a lot of people on this chat. So this is just like another dimension of like people really knowing you, and just the reality that you spent, this quality time with, with a soul brother. So thanks for the share, and just looking forward to some more stories. And I just, we learn off each other's testimonies of life, and we all have a life story, and we all just continue to learn from each other as this whole thing keeps flowing.
Yeah, thanks, Becky. Yeah, does anyone else have anything they want to jump in with on anything we've discussed, or take us in a whole new direction? You're more than welcome.
Can I just add to that? When I got a little sidetracked about Matt's Instagram, it would be phenomenal. I know, even though likes and things don't matter, or they shouldn't matter, he is pretty excited because one of the last videos that he made on there on the journey is he's got over 900,000 views, and I don't know like how that happened. Like he's like he's never gotten to that amount, but it's over nine. He's like, I would love to get 1 million views. So if you could all check out his Instagram and that video specifically, that would be great. You'd just be tickled. So thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Jill. Yeah, I mean, you won't regret it. They're well done videos and just more beautiful footage from what was shared earlier. So thanks for that. And Tracy, just before we get to you, I see her on the call, and I just want to give another special shout out to Paula and Patrick, who welcomed us in with such gracious arms when we were heading out west. Paula reached out to me when I did a quick post, and she was like, "Hey, we've got a place to stay whenever you're passing through," and so I said, "Okay, well that's enough. That's enough of a sign for me." And we pulled in, and it was just this amazing just a few rooms, but a really beautiful spot in Wyoming. And Paul and Patrick were just so gracious and receiving us, and we had a really wonderful time. Unfortunately, didn't get to see them on the way back just because of our travel restrictions, but yeah, really had a wonderful time. So thanks for being here today, Paula. It's so good to see you.
Thanks, Justin. I'm just so happy you guys could stop through. It meant a lot. And it was great to meet Matt. And Jill, you've done a wonderful job. He's a fine young man. And of course, I always knew I resonated with Justin, and he's just like he is in person as he is when you listen to him on the podcast. So we enjoyed our time together, even though it was short.
Yeah, just the beginning. I'm looking forward to the next one. And yeah, if you are ever passing by that way, definitely check out Story Pines in where are you guys, Paula? Forgive me.
Story, Wyoming.
Story, Wyoming. Yeah, really cool little pocket and just a quiet space to pull in, and their place is absolutely beautiful. So yeah, highly recommend that.
Well, I couldn't wait to hear Justin's story because he said, "Boy, do I have a story to tell you." And I'm like, "Oh man, what's it going to be?" But I was thankful to hear that they were okay. And, I too believe, like Justin, everything happens for a reason.
Thank you, Paula. I really appreciate that so much. I dig that kid so much. Thank you.
And I think he liked my dog. He, my little dog Rhea enjoyed both of their visits. So
Oh yeah, Rhea was awesome. Just a ray of sunshine.
yeah. Well, thank you very much. Stop by anytime.
Thank you, sister. Really appreciate you. And yeah, looking forward to the next time and staying in touch. Absolutely.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Take care. All right. Thanks for your patience, Tracy. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. Hello, everybody. My same sentiments. It was wonderful to hear you recap here for us and explain lots of details of your trip, and of course the explanation details of the accident as well. So thank you for that. And I feel exactly the same. Hugely relieved at the outcome of everybody being safe and sound, and that's it's good news to hear that at this moment the insurance companies are on board and doing their job so far. So hopefully that will continue. The progress with that will be speedy and efficient, and will be the end result for Maddie will be what he deserves and what he desires. So, and what he's paid for. So that's that. And so I am again on a live with you guys as I'm packing to fucking move. Oh my God. I have dreaded this moment, and I have fought it hard for years. And I have come in the chat throughout the past couple, year for at least, and had a lot of really difficult time. I'm going through a divorce, and I'm not sure if anybody else is on here that doesn't know this, but just to update it, I am living in Hong Kong. I'm a Canadian expat. I've been living in Hong Kong now 20 years, and I've been living in Asia almost 30. First was Tokyo, Japan, and then here. So I don't have any family here, and a lot of people that I did have was really close friends with and stuff. Before Q and actually President Trump kicked off all back in 2015, I had there's quite a group of people in a very small little village-sized community, if you will, that's outside of the city of Hong Kong. Anyway, a lot of people have moved on as their kids will come here. With them, they'll take a contract for whatever corporation and a couple years, or however long it is, and the kids will be signed up for the international schools. And so as soon as the kids graduate, then usually the parents then change contracts, move maybe locations if it's a global corporation or business of some kind. So anyway, so they all head off, and so everybody's kind of scattered that way. So then, the Q came and all that kind of stuff. So I got really kind of isolated in my life and became really sick and stuff like that. But still, I was at home and I was okay and went through all that kind of stuff. So here we are now, 2025. It's so bizarre to say that, if that's what it really is, whatever it is, it's bizarre that 2 years ago, not to the day, but fucking pretty close. Give or take a few days, actually. I was packing to move from my previous place. That was kind of the separation of the marriage and dividing up of the stuff accumulated in the marriage. So that was a big move, and it was such an absolute nightmare because I was not well. I was not well in many ways, but the movers were so horrible, and we'd used them before, and they were so rude to me. They were coming in and they were going every time I told them to take a piece of furniture. This one has to go to the dump. This one has to. We can't have to get rid of this. Have to get rid of this. All these really beautiful Chinese antiques and stuff, pretty substantial pieces of furniture. And there's just, you can't resell this. It's really hard to resell stuff here. It's next to fucking impossible. Unless somebody's living next door and you can shift it over, it's impossible. It really is. I've never done the whatever Craigslist or Asia Expat or whatever the things are, that these avenues that you can sell these things ahead of time. I've never done it because it's really, and to get any money for it, impossible. Anyway, so every time I went to tell them that, instruct them as to what piece was doing what and going where, they're like, but why? Why, ma'am? It's so nice. Why don't you keep it? And I'm like, excuse me. I fucking got snapped. I was like, excuse me. It's not your job to be questioning me. You have no idea what's going on in my life. I got really triggered. And it's just that what was going on, I was very emotional as well. It was really, really heavy times, what I was going through. So the last thing I wanted was this kind of extremely unprofessional rudeness. So anyway, so they didn't show up for the second and third day. They're supposed to be there for 3 days. So we had to actually move the remainder of their stuff, shifting a whole bunch of stuff to the dump and stuff, doing I don't know, 40 runs, because I have a really, really small car. So taking whatever furniture pieces and whatnot. Anyway, it was a real ordeal. Well, I have to use those same movers. And I can't really explain all the ins and outs and why, but it's fallen upon in this way. It's come upon this way, and I have to use them again. So I'm just going with okay, it's go with the devil, right? You know, it can be a complete nightmare with somebody else. And it is difficult here to get English speaking staff in the team of movers. Sometimes the main guy will be English speaking or bilingual, but the staff won't be, the team won't be. And if you can't sort of point to something or say something very, you know, sort of basic of what needs to be sort of happening with whatever in any kind of instructions, it's really difficult. Anyway, so they're coming and they're going to be here in fucking 4 hours. So if you actually saw me, what's around me right now, I'd be like, Trace, well, this is kind of how I work. It is. I do everything last minute. It's just the way that it is. But I as well was like, I'm like, oh, I had been holding off for this past year, anticipating, of course, what we've all spoken on of EBS and stuff like that. But my ex was just not having it anymore. It's like, no, I don't believe a word you're fucking saying. You know, fuck you, get the fuck out of the apartment. Basically, it's how it's been. It's been pretty rough. But I'm still grateful for him because he's my only financial sort of means to have been able to not be homeless at the moment. So I'm shifting over to another place, but I'm leaving Hong Kong Island. I'm actually leaving this area and having to go like a good hour's commute away from here to an area like I know of it, but I've never spent any time there. So I've spent the time around this area for 20 years straight because we lived in 5 different places, all within literally a 2-minute drive of each other. So all in the same neighborhoods. So I'm just like, I know this area so well and going to something completely new. So it's been, that's something that's going to be a big adjustment. As well, again, I don't have a car. I lost my car last May. So that's been an absolute nightmare. Actually, I talked on here a couple of times going, oh yeah, it's been okay. I got my bike. Because I'm local enough here. There's a few things, a few amenities, but not really. It's a tiny little grocery store, but nothing really within proper, like a short walk or something like that. So you actually really do have to trek out to go to some substantial shops anyway, so I was able to sort of, you know, exist a little bit with just having a bicycle and doing a few things back and forth and using the bus a little bit and stuff like that. But that is really difficult when you have to carry so much fruit and veg and everything and making it worth the trip to get somewhere. So doing like a weekly shop as opposed to popping in each day and just getting small amounts because it's not feasible to do that time wise and expense wise and all that. So it's like a weekly thing. So that was quite hard to do because it's really physically difficult to carry that much stuff on these little mini buses they have. The entrance is small. So all these little niggling things, you know, there's always something like these little niggling things. But at the end of the day, this has been the most amazing experience I've lived here. I have shared photos. I'm not sure if anybody in this call has ever seen any, but this is, for myself, ticks every single box of a place that I would desire to live. And I have enjoyed so much that it's considered a green belt area. And there's a beautiful reservoir that's close by. There's hiking trails everywhere right outside my doorstep. And there's beaches as well within like 15-minute walk and a 10-minute bike ride and stuff like that. And a very short bus ride. So everything is very local right here. So it's been like, I've been beyond blessed, just beyond. It's some of the most beautiful country because it's very pristine in terms of what you see, maybe the cityscape of Hong Kong, which is just insane high rises, insane architecture, insane busyness, and beautiful in its own right, you know. But I've not lived there. I'm not a city girl. So living in this little kind of remote corner on the south side of the island, where it is, like I said, a green belt. So there's very little around here. There's no high. There's a couple towers of apartments, but there's not like this massive density, high density like you see in the city. So I'm going to something that's pretty considerably low density as well. But more like a village feel as well. So, and I live somewhere here where it's always been quite safe. I've lived in gated communities, so I felt really safe. So now this is my first kind of going off on my own. Really will be alone because I don't know anybody. I only have a few acquaintances here, if you will. So I don't have any sort of support. If something went down, I would have somebody to go to. But, my ex has, at the moment, has stepped up, but it has been beyond a nightmare. And I don't want to speak in any kind of, airing dirty laundry and stuff like that, but people can go through difficult stuff. And with everything that's going on in the world, he's got his own stuff to go, he's dealing with and stuff like that. So, but it has been really, really difficult to try to negotiate and get a place secured where I am. So I am grateful that it's happening. But last time I was speaking on a live with you guys, I was actually packing as well. I think we were over in the private channel when we were doing that. We actually did karaoke. We were doing karaoke for 8 hours. We'd had an 8-hour live, the group of us, and we were all singing. And Justin, you sang a lot. I sang a little bit. I sang really horribly, a lot, but we had a great time, and it was I had such a beautiful memory. So here I am again on a live, and I'm packing, and I'm sitting here in my bedroom, which will be completely torn apart in about 5 hours, like I said. But it is so like a bit of a mess. It's a bit chaotic, but it'll all come together at the very end, kind of a thing, as stuff starts to get shifted out. Because it's hard when you don't have much space to place boxes, things, whatnot. So you have like a path to still keep moving around. I don't have like a big place, but so that makes it a bit tough. But I have removed a bunch of stuff, edited quite well, got rid of a bunch of stuff. So I have come down to like a smaller amount of items in my life. This is, like, I could say, this first time that I've had this small in 30 years from moving from Canada to Tokyo. And I just started to accumulate. And at times definitely it's kind of bordering on hoarding. When you get like a really big house, you start to fill it with stuff. We're living like in a mansion here. It was like beautiful, like 4 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, 4 floors. That's when we first moved here. So that's through the bank. Like, we couldn't have afforded something like that on our own. But a lot of the expat homes that are around here they were like built really, really big and for families and stuff like that, for multiple children families. So anyways, so this is a completely different sort of shift. And, I guess very appropriate as sort of everybody's sort of shifting all over the place in different ways. We hear through the channel, people in the chat room and stuff like that, sharing what they're going through. And, for myself, from my perspective, this whole movement and the plan and all of it, I've been on board since 2016 and followed Q from day one. So I've been, very, very engaged for sure, daily. I've not had a holiday. I've not left this country since 2014. I've not actually had a holiday since 2014. Time away from here, vacation of any kind, just to get away. So I can, legitimately say that it's been a long, long road, but yet it feels so short. It's as I'm sitting here, the weight of it is on my shoulders. I'm like kind of crumpled up on my bed. I spoke to you, Justin, just before you were about to get settled to, like many hours ago. I'm not sure when it was, but I hadn't stopped moving since I spoke to you. So I just sat down now to start to speak. As I'm listening to everybody else talk, I was still moving about. So I'm just taking a bit of a breather to sit, and I've been drinking my sugar water. So having a little bit of a tough time with certain aspects of, as you're trying to shift out of a place, you've got to only have a certain amount of food and stuff like that, because the logistics of, for one, not having a car. So having to get stuff from this place to that place, having food that you're not going to waste, and just all of it. So I'm just like, and as well, I'm kind of like got anxiety kind of going. So I'm not really super hungry. And as well, I don't want to get tired from it. So I've got to keep going. So I've been sipping on my sugar water, and which I can report that that's something that I have, I could feel benefits from for sure. I just haven't been able to be sort of consistent in the other ways where, like, I've not had much money. So I have to ration my food I can't always purchase what I need. And so having the sugar water has been so beneficial for that reason. It's really helped to, for energy, calories, and as well, the most important part though, that has been really noticeable is the feeling of hydration. Before, when I spoke about a year ago, when I started going heavily on the go-go juice and doubling my amount up to like 4 liters a day, I had to consume, had to be very consistent in consuming and catching, releasing. And I always enjoyed it. Like I started putting it in the fridge and having it cold. So it was very refreshing. And yes, it did quench my thirst, but not like it does now that I've added sugar to it. Because I also add sugar to my go-go juice and sugar to water and sugar to my smoothies and stuff like that. So it's absolutely noticeable how I feel completely satiated, appetite control, where I really thought that it was going to be a bit of a from one extreme to another, up and down, and having, crashes or whatever, or cravings. And that hasn't happened. That has not happened. So, and I'm not even doing anything like really how I should be, how I ultimately would like to be doing it. So, but I'm still seeing some decent results. And so just the feeling of hydration, I feel hydrated, like my body feels it. I'm looking a little haggard at the moment because I've just not been sleeping. But other than that, skin wise, feeling, how I'm feeling, it really is hugely noticeable. So really grateful for learning that recently, because it's really benefited me through these sort of, I don't want to say stressful, that just things that are just kind of all over the place. Like I'm just trying to, manage with you guys on all these lives in the middle of the night. Still trying to manage, I was getting to the beach quite a lot. I started swimming early this season, back in March. So trying to get there consistently. And I've had a really good 2 weeks where the weather's warmed up considerably. It's kind of like a warm 1 week, cool 1 week in the spring here, then warm 1 week, cool 1 week. And now it's kind of really evened out and it's quite warm again, getting up to high 90s some days. So, and so been able to, as well, wanting to enjoy this area. So just kind of getting out when I can, getting body movement and stuff like that. And again, the sugar water, I was taking it to the beach and freezing some lemonade. Oh my God, it's so delicious. Freezing some lemonade with sugar in it in a container and then letting it melt so it's actually remains cold at the beach and stuff like that. It was a huge difference as well. I was really, really have enjoyed that as well. So, I was kind of lost my train of thought. Like I was trying to say, at the end of the day, they're just being grateful to have learned about that in this timing, because of sort of everything is kind of chaotic and not able to be as organized and whatnot, and have to be a little bit more impulsive or whatnot in terms of what I'm choosing to do and stuff each day. Anticipating this move, I wasn't actually sure. I didn't really know until maybe 2 weeks ago. So it wasn't something I could totally plan, over a period of time. So it's been really quite a crunch to get things done. So, but yeah, so that's my share. And I just really appreciate everybody. Thank you so much for always, sitting here, holding space, listening. Those that share, thank you so much as well. I just really, truly appreciate it. So it has helped. I think I've heard almost everybody who expresses in similar ways say something very similar, that of this is that I feel I really wouldn't have survived in pretty kind of extreme ways. I think there'd be some pretty extreme fallout on my end if I had not been involved in these Telegram groups for these past few years. It has been you've all have been absolute lifesavers for me. So I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. And whatever everyone's going through in their lives right now, I send my prayers to you. Positive internal grooviness, vibrations. Yeah, from my heart to yours. I love you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tracy. Thanks for your share. And yeah, just to go over kind of like the full process and shifting and moving to a new location and the troubles that come from doing something like that, but also the gifts that you found in it by getting to a space that might be way better than where you have been, and just trusting that movement. So it says a lot about you to maintain that, and I know others can relate to that in some way or another. As we're all going through various reformations, restorations, recalibrations within our lives as things shift around, and that which no longer serves us falls away and bring in newness. So thank you for sharing that experience. And yeah, glad it's moving along, and just know that we're with you and happy to help any way we can. So definitely keep us posted, and yeah, we love you very much as well. So thanks for that. And yeah, I will does anyone else have anything they want to jump in with, either on that topic or take us in any direction? You're more than welcome.
Yeah, just a quick comment. Tracy, the weather where you're at is very similar to that of which is happening in Michigan. I don't know, I just find the weather very interesting all over the planet, but I just thought that was interesting. You're about 20 degrees hotter than we are, but just an interesting comparison.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like I do see, when I see a weather pattern here in Hong Kong, in this region, and it flows through across to to North America. So I'll see when it will reach there. Similar things will reach there after like a few days or so, like under a week for sure. Like it's like 2-3 days, kind of a time frame usually. But yeah, it can get quite extreme here in terms of high humidity and pretty high heat throughout the, like, starting now, and it stays consistent throughout the evening as well. Like it's like, of course it's Celsius here, so like it can be over 30 Celsius, which is high 90s in the evening, and throughout the summer, and the region also gets a lot of typhoons and stuff like that. So anyways, yeah, so I'm grateful that it's summer, because I think I was like whining about how cold it was, and here we are, and now it's really hot, and I've got my windows open. I don't have any AC on it or anything like that. I'm not an AC user, but I can't even afford it as well. It is I can't even understand how somebody could afford AC. I can't even. It's so expensive. It's beyond. Like we're talking like up to $700-800 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment, just for the AC. It's like, so no, I've never used it. But anyways, yeah. Thanks for sharing that, and I hope you get to enjoy a beautiful summer ahead.
Oh, thank you, sister. It's actually kind of exciting in Michigan now. We just had this drop in temperature, so we're looking at like 62, 68 right now, but no sun. But we had rain like throughout the evening, and it was just like a steady rain. So I'm really excited, because if the humidity raises, then that is when everything just starts to bloom and grow, and it's really an exciting time, because we just wait so long as the East Coast, this region of the U.S. We just wait so long for this like really short opportunity of summer, which I'm really hoping that changes. Like I'm thinking that it has to change. I don't know. I did hear that we might just even out, like across the board, we'll all have the same weather. That would be absolutely glorious. Not that I don't like the four seasons, but I'm really tired of just such a short season of summer in Michigan. And then you go like 6.5, 7 months. And then, yeah, I don't know. I don't think everything should just like, I don't know. I know it's a cycle. I get it. But just to see everything go from hot, beautiful weather to fall and coldness, where other regions don't have a lot of the four seasons. So it's going to be really interesting to see how all of the weather patterns, etc., kind of like play out. So yeah.
Yeah, certainly it's been consistent all around as people noticing different weather patterns than what they're used to. So as the Earth sort of rebalances back, I imagine we'll see some pretty what we think are abnormal, but perhaps it's just returning to normal. So yeah. Anyone else want to jump in? Any topic, any direction? You're more than welcome. All right. Well, here's another one from Joanna MB. And so she was asking about, so it came up, and I know this has been passed around a few times over the years, but the instance of this, what's claimed like a fruitarian woman who died, forgive me, I don't remember her name, but she died, and she, they show these pictures and they show like how really thin she was, and she was quite thin, and like past the point where it's a healthy thin, but no, that's a skeleton, a walking skeleton kind of thing, and so they use this as like propaganda to say that fruitarianism is dangerous and fasting is dangerous and all these different things. And while I don't support the narrative that fruit is certainly a very powerful shift in our mindset of what our God-given food source really should be, the path to get there, as I've talked about before, can be arduous. It's not always so simple to just say, to wake up one day and be like, oh yeah, fruit, that makes sense, let me just switch to that and expect everything to be all good. Now, some people are wired that way. Some people can make very drastic shifts and change lots of things and seem to come out relatively unscathed. But I'd say it's more common that there's a path ahead, and that path has to be taken on by the individual to work through all consequences of making those shifts. And so as we're cleaning up our body, then new toxins and things can unravel, new layers of self, old systems within our body that are better equipped to regulate our hormones and our everything within our body. They have to come back online because they've been laying dormant. We've been feeding our body these overstimulating, foods that aren't really foods for so long. And the body's amazing. It can adapt to just about anything. So it does adapt, but you can't just reformat overnight and expect everything to be perfect. So the reason I want to talk about it is because it's a good example. Like, I don't think that she was, I'm not throwing any shade on fruit being the highest form of food. I'm not throwing any shade on fasting being a very effective form of cleaning up the body. However, just like with anything, if we're not conscious of what we're doing and how our body is responding, and if we're just being attached to some idea that, oh, just because this person does this, then I have to eat that way, or I have to fast for this long, or I have to do all these things, then we're not really listening to our body. We're not really respecting the process. And I don't know for certain, but that's from what I've seen and what I've kind of looked into with the circumstances around that, it seems that she wasn't really paying attention to her bodily needs. And again, like, we can shift out of even the need for physical food, but that's an extremely challenging task. And 99.9% of people are not ready for that. So even if you just think you are ready for that, if you're not truly integrating and truly like believing it with every ounce of you, because there's a difference between egoic, mental, intellectual belief and then like full integration. So to take that leap, going off into the other layers of how we can fuel and power our body, tapping into other forms besides just physical food, that's challenging. So, but the problem is people can get these ideas that, that's the way, or I have to fast until I heal, or I'm just detoxing through everything, when really sometimes they're running into deficiencies because their body's not quite ready to shift in that extreme of a way. There was another guy who died recently, Mango, I think was his name, or something like that. Another fruitarian who kind of had a similar kind of thing. I don't know exactly what led to the death, but from pictures and videos and things, it looks like malnourishment. And so if we hold on to these beliefs and we become attached to these ideas so much that we ignore our body's call to us to say, hey, I'm not quite ready to do that. I still need more time at this level. I still need to do these things for this amount of time. I still need to clear these things in order to activate that system. And we try and skip those steps, then that's where it can cause problems. And a lot of people will go as far as to say that, you should never have your blood tested. You should never check your levels for different things because it doesn't matter. And it's like that idea can be harmful as well, because it can lead us into deficiencies. Yes, the ideal state is that we're not relying on anything external to balance our body. But our body right now is in such a unideal state of being that checking and measuring where we are at different stages can be very helpful. Now, some people might not ever need to. Some people can flow with that. And if you're very intuitive and listening to your body, then usually you can find that. And so, yes, it all comes back to within. But until we are apt and able to do that, sometimes using external means to test and verify, like, this is where I am. And so, Josh X, and I've mentioned it before, but Josh X is a huge proponent of getting your blood work tested every year just to see where you are. And then you have that historical data of like, okay, I made these shifts over this year and this is where my patterns are trending, and all of that. It's just very helpful information so that these specific things that once they become depleted can be very, very hard to get out of those depleted states. So he'll mention iodine, B12, magnesium, and vitamin D as the main ones to kind of keep an eye on. And I'd have to agree. I think those are the what those do within our bodies. And again, our body can produce those. It has the ability to do that. However, most people are not at that stage where they're able to just produce those things without assistance. So that's why supplementation can be helpful. And I just want to say that I had never gotten my blood tested before. One of the reasons, and I shared this on another live a few weeks ago, that one of the reasons is because it seemed so challenging to get a test like that without, at least in the US, without a doctor's note. But fortunately, and thanks to Cheryl for sending me some companies who do that, I wanted to pass along that there are at least 2 companies that do this, and you can order the test yourself and just go to a lab and get tested, and they'll give you the results, and then you can study them or bring them to whomever else, or whatever you want with it. So I went, there's two companies that she sent me, Quest and LabCorp. I went with LabCorp, and they have labs all over the US. And so I was able to buy a test online, and it tested, it was like, I think it was called like the micronutrient test or something like that. But it tested for all of those levels that I mentioned, and then some. I think it had some extra. And then I added on a couple other things that seemed, I was just curious about, because the add-ons weren't nearly as much as the base test. The base test, it's not cheap. It was a few $100s to do that. But I think it's very helpful. I think it gave me peace of mind to go in and do that. And it was a very easy process. I go in and they took the blood samples, and then I was out within 15 minutes, and they sent me the results a few days later. So I just wanted to mention that for anyone who's considering doing that it was much easier than I thought it was going to be. And and then as far as my results specifically, I'm happy to say that, at least by their standards, which, take with a grain of salt, like whatever they determine is healthy, but by their standards, I was in range for everything except for vitamin D levels, which I was a little bit surprised at, but we are coming out of winter, and I haven't gotten the opportunity to do as much sunbathing as I normally do. So vitamin D was a little low. So I'm glad that I supplemented vitamin D periodically over the winter time. Probably I might do more next winter just to keep that level up there. And then of course it's summertime, so I'm going to be spending a lot of time out in the sun, getting it in the most natural and abundant and free way. But anyway, just wanted to mention that and sort of pair it with that question on this instance of what happened to her. So part of Joanna's question in regards to that, she said she's been coming across clips stating that cancer is caused by parasites. So to her, it sounds like a good excuse to not do the work and rely on the medical system to just deworm every now and again and be fine. Or maybe this is disinformation is put out there for people to finally start questioning their food supply and doing their own research. So per Dr. Moore, she says, and others too, cancer is acidosis, and as such, cancer cannot survive in an alkaline environment. In her opinion, if anything, the parasites could help with the digestion and with processing of the toxic waste, and perhaps delay the process of toxicity in the body. But she says that sounds revolting to rely on that. So what are my thoughts on that? So I think it's a combination. I think it's like you have an acidic environment, you're going to cause cellular breakdown. The cellular breakdown is going to make it more able for other things to come in and eat you. And that's really what they're designed to do. Like there's some of these parasites and funguses that live within us are there to consume dead material within us. And if we're consuming a lot of dead material like meat and all of that, then we're going to be inviting a lot of those things because they need to be consuming this stuff. But I would say even in a normal, healthy, functioning body that's not consuming meat, you're still going to have cellular die-off. You're still going to have, depending on what you're eating, you're going to have foods that aren't able to be completely digested or processed based on what we have available to us. And so there is going to be room for those systems, these whatever we call them, parasites or whatever, these systems to take care of that mess. So if our body's very acidic, it's like it's breaking down. It's destructive. So that destructive, whatever cells are destroyed and whatever, like that has to be removed. And oftentimes these parasites are the ones that take care of it and remove that. Now the problems come in when they start eating more than what we might want them to. So it's like both of them are an issue. Both of them are highlighting a problem, but I would lean more towards the sort of Dr. Moore's perspective that the parasites aren't the root cause. The root cause is the acidic environment, and the parasites simply come afterwards. So I don't know if like this idea that all tumors are just like parasite nests and things of that nature, or do the tumors form because of that, and then parasites are attracted to them because it's a bunch of dead material that that they can consume? You know, it's hard to say exactly, and it doesn't really matter, right? Because the solution, regardless of what it is to clean up the environment so that the parasitic overgrowth doesn't happen and the acidic environment diminishes. That helps all issues. So when people have the, there have been so many people who have reversed all sorts of horrific, conditions just by raising their alkalinity, using things like baking soda to raise their alkalinity for a consistent basis, and then all quote unquote disease doesn't really have a platform to latch onto, and parasitic overgrowth doesn't really have that same environment that it can feed off of. So the same thing addresses it. So, I'm not suggesting that, you rely on an alkalizing agent, because the best way is truly the natural way to consume alkalizing foods so that we are always in an alkalized environment. However, I also will say that most of us are not at that level to where we're only consuming alkalizing foods. If you're eating cooked foods, which I will admit, I do eat cooked foods. I've whether you want to say shifted back or however, like I'll go through periods where I stay all raw, and then I'll go through periods where I eat a cooked dinner. So do like a raw till 4 kind of style. And I find benefits in both ways. I know that my path is always leaning towards more fruit and less other things, but I'm also going to be gentle with my body as it shifts through that. So one thing that has helped me to keep my body in an alkaline state has been, and I've talked about it before, but the 4 salts, which is a product that you can find online. It's a combination of four different salts, not like table salt, but like sodium formation. So sodium bicarbonate and potassium bicarbonate and magnesium chloride and I always forget the last one, but another one, and the calcium chloride. And the combination of those is just extremely alkalizing within the body. But the majority of it is sodium bicarbonate. So that by itself is very powerful to use and much cheaper than this. So, just something to consider if you, and I recommend anyone testing their pH of their urine. I mean, every day is a great thing to do. It's really very simple. The pH testing strips cost fractions of a penny each. So you can get tons and tons of them for, like $10. You can get a couple years worth of pH testing strips. And so test that every day and see where you're at. And I like to keep mine between like a 7.5 and a 9. And that's a great way to just maintain that perspective and see what's going on within the body. And of course, urine is not the only test of your acidity level, but it's a good one to measure. Your saliva is going to be a little bit more acidic. I test that too. And of course you can test your blood as well if you want to, but that's not as important because the blood's going to be maintained at a certain level almost regardless of the rest of the system. And that's where it runs into trouble, is if it's having to work overtime to keep your blood from being too acidic. It causes other systems in the body to become quite acidic. So yeah, that's a great way to test. And then if you feel like using an alkalizing agent to give a boost to it, it's very helpful. So recommend that. And yeah, there's even studies of people doing rigorous exercise, because you release the lactic acid when you do rigorous exercise, and using something like 4 salts or baking soda has been really helpful for people in recovery after strenuous exercise, because you're helping to move those acids out of your system quickly so that they're not degrading whatever muscular systems they're around. So a lot of benefits to that. But yeah, it all goes back to the simplicity of acidity versus alkalinity. And I do still lean towards that being the root cause of the issue, but it is very eye-opening to see, and perhaps it's a tool for people to learn about these things, because you tell somebody about acidity, it's not as like alarming to them as when you tell them that they're full of worms, like parasites are everywhere. So maybe that's being a tool that's being helpful to disseminate that information. But like I said, it's both of them as being present there, but the acidity is more the root cause, in my opinion, than the parasites. So yeah, I will just leave that one there and pass it off and see if anyone else wants to jump in. All right. Well, that's actually the end of my written questions, at least the ones that I remembered to record. If you ever do send me a question and I forget to answer it, please just remind me. This is just me. I'm the only one. I don't have a team or anything. Yeah, it's just me. So doing my best to remember things and write stuff down amidst travels and whatever else I have going on. So yeah, definitely remind me if I miss somebody's question. And yeah, with that, I will give another opportunity if anybody wants to jump in, share anything, ask anything. And if not, we can go ahead and start wrapping up. All right. Well, let's take a look at some lyrics here. And I think because we have some extra time, I might even play some more songs. This album is so good, y'all. Like, it really is just a great, uplifting, beautiful lyrics all around. So I'm happy to share it. So let's go and share screen on what we got going on here. So the first song I'm going to play is called Malibu. This is the first song in the album. And it states, "In all my doubt, in all my weakness, can you lead?" So Malibu, the MA, the Divine Mother, but it's also that, like, which is that Christic energy, which is both masculine and feminine. It's that energy that animates and moves us in that righteous direction. So in all my doubt, in all my weakness, can you lead? So can you take me by the hands and lead me back to self, back to oneness, back to God the Father? I fall behind, but like you promise, you wait for me. So she leads. She takes us by the hand and she leads. And they showed this in the Matrix Revelation, Resurrection, whichever the fourth one was that came out not too long ago, where Neo jumps off and Trinity's holding his hand and she's the one who's flying, to signify that she's the one who leads. Because in order for her to lead, we have to surrender and be open for that. So I fall behind, but like you promise, you wait for me. I feel a spirit move in me again. So that Holy Spirit, I know it's the same spirit that still moves in you, that animating element, that divinity. I don't know how it took so long to shed this skin. So to shed this ego, this character, this attachment. Not that we abandoned any elements of our character, but we can still celebrate them. But it's just the attachment to it, that it has to go this way, or I have to plan everything out, or have to be this status or this qualifications, or have these things or that stuff or whatever. So I don't know how it took so long for me to shed all of that bullshit and live under the shadow of your wings. So that those angelic wings guiding us home, to live under the shadow, to let Christ lead us. And then he just emphasizes, you are all I want. You're all I need. I'll find peace beneath the shadow of your wings. Oh man, it's such a beautiful song. I can hear it I'm still afraid I said too much or not enough. You know, we get in these head games and afraid we said too much to whomever else or not enough, and we're afraid that you'd only see the ghost still rising, a broken touch. So we're afraid to, when we fall into the shame, the self-imposed shame and guilt, and we fall into this idea of unworthiness, that we're not worthy to receive this divine influence. We're afraid that Christ would only see the ghost still rising, a broken touch. So the ghost being this unwhole layer of self, this idea that we're somehow unworthy. So we're afraid that we'd be seen that way. But then the contrast, but walking through the valley was what brought me here. So it was all necessary. I needed to go through whatever experience, whatever we've been through, whatever we've done, we had to go through that. And that's what brought us here. So it's a gift. Another great thing about Matt is he's got this great tattoo on his leg that says, "You are not the worst things you've ever done." Just this reminder that we are not the choices that we've made. The choices help to form us into who we are, but we're not held back by anything. So walking through the valley was what brought me here. I knew I would never make it on my own. So surrendering to this, to something larger, which is really just you, but surrendering the desire to control from an egoic perspective. I knew I would never make it on my own. And I don't know how long it took so long to shed the skin and live under the shadow of your wings. Because again, you are all I want, you're all I need, and I'll find peace beneath the shadow of your wings. And then it repeats, I'll find peace beneath the shadow of your wings. So yeah, really beautiful song. I'm sure y'all will enjoy that. And then the self-titled song, Rushmere, don't you miss the breathlessness, the wildness in the eye. So Rushmere, I thought that was an interesting title. I guess I didn't look up what that might be alluding to. Let's just do a quick search here. I like to use Grok AI since I do X Premium and it's included just to use it. But what does Rushmere refer to in the song by Mumford and Sons? Let's see what it has to say. The title refers to Rushmere Pond, located on Wimbledon Common in southwest London. This is a significant place for the band, as it's where Marcus Mumford, Ben Levitt, and Ted Duane first hung out as friends and began conceiving the idea of forming a band. The song in the album of the same name draws on the origin story, evoking nostalgia for the early days and the sense of youthful freedom and possibility tied to that location. Lyrically, Rushmere explores themes of nostalgia, self-discovery, and passage of time with the pond. Okay, so it's repeating here. Yeah, so it's a nostalgic song, kind of going back to the origins, which makes sense. Okay, and so this says, don't you miss the breathlessness, the wildness in the eye? And while I'm sure a lot of that is alluding to that sort of nostalgia, there's also so much more in here, and there's no accidents with what this band is trying to get across. So don't you miss the breathlessness, the wildness in the eye? I didn't say eyes, the eye. So the wildness in that, and breathless, like what takes your breath away is those moments we are just so fully present and there. The wildness in the eye, that single eye illuminating. So perhaps it's talking about the times before the fall, you know, or those moments where we are in alignment with that Christed way, and the contrast of falling out of it. So the wildness in the eye, come home late in the morning light, bloodshot dreams under streetlight spells. So come home late in the morning light after a night, which can be a meditation. So we come home late, as in, of course, you could see it as like the party element or playing in a band all night or whatever. But it could also be meditation to the point of, coming out of that. That's the stillness. The night represents that. Bloodshot dreams under streetlight spells. So bloodshot dreams, bloodshot is like, it's Coldplay has an album, Rush of Blood to the Head, or maybe that's just a song, but it's definitely a song. And so it's like, it's the rush of the sacred fluids that the rush. So the bloodshot is like that rush of like a Kundalini awakening. So under streetlight spells, and there you have the SS, streetlight spells. So that twin coiled serpents rising up the spine. So under streetlight spells could be alluding to that. A truth no one can tell. It cannot be told. It can only be experienced. So again, alluding to this sort of internal process. And I was still a secret to myself. So the Christ within was still a secret to myself. The secret being the sacred secretions. Again, more hints that this is what they're referring to, in that this is the bloodshot dreams, giving the guise of like a party atmosphere and all of that. But we take a look and there seems to be so much more. So then the chorus, light me up, I'm wasted in the dark. So calling out to that Christ, the light within, light me up, I'm wasted in the dark. So we're tired of wasting our time in the dark. Rushmere, restless hearts in the end. So Rushmere, if it's referring to their beginnings, or it could be referring to our beginnings as like these beautiful representations of divinity coming back to the beginning. So get my head out of the ground. Time, don't let us down again. So we got to pull our heads out of our ass. We got to stop with this inversion and start looking up again. Stop all the nonsense, all the noise. Time, don't let us down again. Time is a brutal teacher, but it is a teacher. Saturn, Kronos, the god of time. They're there as a very challenging test to overcome and to provide a very fun layer of this way for us to tell stories. You need a storyline, you need a timeline in order to tell a good story. So time can be a very, very helpful element, but when we live in an unconscious way, time it's brutal. It becomes this sort of, I don't know, like a daunting behemoth. And we feel time bound. So time, don't let us down again, as in let's overcome that limitation this time around, if we choose. Take me back to empty lawns and nowhere else to go. So maybe times where they were playing to empty lawns. But it could also just be like representing the timelessness of youth and that way of not caring so much about, nowhere else to go, and nowhere is now here. Now here. So let's come back to now here. You say come get lost in a fairground crowd where no one knows your name. So when we grow our character and we become attached to it, then it can weigh us down in that sense, because we don't have the ability to get lost in a fairground crowd. But that's what the Christ is saying, is like, come, let all that go and, start again in a way, be born again. It's not to lose everything, but to have the ability to gain more. We have to be willing to let go. We have to be willing to dump things out of our hot air balloon so that it can rise. And there's only honest mistakes. There's no price to a wasted hour. So when we don't have so much attachment into our character, then they are just honest mistakes. It's not bound up in reputation and appearance and all these other things. There's no price to a wasted hour. There's no price to making mistakes and stumbling. It's part of it. So then it repeats, light me up, I'm wasted in the dark. And then what's lost is gone and buried deep. Take heart and let it be. Don't lie to yourself. There's madness and magic in the rain. So MM, in the rain, that divine feminine influence. There's beauty in the pain. Don't lie to yourself. So as we reflect on what has occurred and how we got here, don't dwell there. What's lost is gone and buried deep. Take heart and let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Don't lie to yourself. Yeah, I mean, this is just a beautiful little reminder to come back to the madness and the magic in the rain. And there's both, right? There's madness and magic. There's beauty in the pain, the coalescing, oscillating sine wave, toroidal field movement, in and out, up and down. It's all there for us to experience. And without it, this experience would not be. So we can appreciate it for what it is. Well, we don't have to, but if we do appreciate it for what it is, it's not as painful. And we can have moments where you total a car and it's okay. You know, there's beauty in the pain, because it allows us to have a contrasting element to where there is no pain, to that pure love. So there's beauty in it. Don't lie to yourself. And then it repeats here, light me up, I'm wasted in the dark, rush mirror, restless heart. There's something we might miss, a whole life in a glimpse. Well, I'm still working it out. Time, don't let us down, because I won't wait. Get my head out of the ground. Time, don't let us down again. So the new lines in there, a whole life in a glimpse. There's something we might miss, a whole life in a glimpse. Well, I'm still working it out. Still working out this whole time thing, because if we're not the master of time, then time's the master of us. And a whole life in a glimpse, you miss it. You blink and you miss it. So I'm still working it out. I'm still working out how to be now here, back in the nowhere, because I won't wait. I'll get my head out of the ground. So yeah, that's those two songs that I'm going to end us off with. And just again, thank you for being here today. Thanks for spending time with me, and always appreciate these talks and getting to share space together. And yeah, again, if you have any questions, feel free to submit them at any time, or just any topics, anything they were like, hey, I'd love you to speak on this, or for us to go over that, or I want to share on this thing. There's really nothing that's off limits. So feel free to send me anything at any point in time, and I'll do my best to go over it. So yeah, love you all very much. Oh, go ahead.
Hey everybody, it's Lila. I'm moving around a lot today because I'm having to unexpectedly move, so bear with me. I hope the sound is okay, but I just wanted to jump in before you end and just say, just how incredibly grateful I am to those angels for wrapping their wings around the two of you and protecting you and anybody else that could have been harmed. And just want to express simply want to express my gratitude for who you are, Justin, who you are for this community, and how you show up week after week and year after year. I can't even believe it that it's this many years at this point, but it is. And we just love you so very much. So, thank you. Just thank you for being here. And I celebrate your life. And I'm so happy that you and Maddie were able to learn lessons from this and ground and be with each other and support each other through, something where people could get very, very angry at each other. What a beautiful recounting of it all. Thank you for sharing it with us, being vulnerable. And I see so much humility within you to even bring that, to the group or to the public, because I'm sure a lot of people will have their projections and judgments around it. Just wanted to say we love you. Thanks.
Thank you, Lila. That's very kind of you to say, and really appreciate it. Thank you. It's such an honor to get to be here with people like yourself and so many others in this space that are just so dedicated to this way. Like we can help each other, we can lift each other up when we're down, and to have those moments is very precious. So thank you for you. And I won't share your story of what you're going through right now, but I just want to say that I've been very impressed with how you're handling all the things that are being thrown at you as well, and just finding that God thread through every layer of it. It says a lot about you, and and it says a lot about this community that we're in this space together. So thank you, and thank you everyone for holding this space and being a part of this frequency where we can help lift each other up and work through these trials and tribulations and laugh about it as we go. Get to find joy in those elements. Yeah, I'm just so grateful. I'll go ahead.
Yeah, I'm so grateful too. And what was it? Take heart and just be. It's a moment to moment practice, isn't it? Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Cool. Well, thank you again, Lila, and thank you everyone for being here. Anyone else have anything before we close out today and I play these songs?
Yeah, I'm actually going to add something as well. The songs that you just explained the lyrics of were, they really hit home, and just so beautifully explained. So thank you. They're really beautiful. They're just so perfect for now, and I imagine other people as well. We all can resonate with something within these beautiful lyrics and these beautiful creators that are speaking and singing of this Christic way. It's really hard not to resonate with it, right? But Lila, shout out to you. I know what you're going through. My heart is with you, and you getting your situation sorted the way that you need, and getting your needs met, however that looks, and however you're going to manage it. I'm my prayers are with you. So so thank you for that, Justin. And actually exactly what Lila said as well is you've built this community. We all have, but you have spearheaded this, and it is just so incredible to see how you have endured. We've endured with you, but you have just persevered through so many things yourself. And and all of us have. We all share. We all get to share how we persevere, and lift the other person up and show them, it's okay to be down. It's okay to express that. But I'm just feeling super emotional as I'm sitting here, and everything is as it is, and these things of transition. I'm not sure if anybody recalls, but I was so reluctant to move to this apartment. I was like, oh shit, it's not good. It's way on the other side of the compound here, and it's not in a good spot. But I've lived here, and it was the best place I've ever lived in Hong Kong yet. And mind you, it is completely downsized from the way I used to live. It's in a quiet little corner, but it ticked all the right boxes in the right moment, which I was very dubious, and as I am now. So I know that I truly have been lifted every time a shift has come. God has just come through. Just comes through, just comes through in spades for me. and I've moved on from strength to strength, amazing place to amazing place. Like, and so I know that in the moment. So yeah, it's very bittersweet, but definitely feel emotional because I, as well, like I'm not. It's not that's sort of my ego, but it kind of is. I wanted to say, like, I kind of rambled before, but give me some. If you could give me some grace, I haven't slept much for like a long time, many weeks, and I haven't slept at all for 2 days. So I'm up powering through, and I'll be up all day. But I'll arrive there and be there by dinner and unpacking this evening. So I'll be able to get, I'm sure, some rest in my new space. I think it'll be really fucking amazing. It will be very magical. And I didn't feel that way 2 weeks ago. And yeah, as it as it is here now, it's yeah. So I wanted to show that. Thank you. Love you so much.
As you were talking, Tracy, I don't think that this has ever passed my lips. Many of you know that I was raised very unreligiously, but I wanted to say, praise be. And of course that has its triggers with all of the Handmaid's Tale and the whole situation, but yeah, just wanted to say praise be, and also to you too, just your humility and your vulnerability to share what's really going on in your life, and have it be marked and markered by the people that love you and care about you. I just have seen so much movement in the last few years around your willingness to open up and be seen and share, and yeah, I'm so thrilled with your accomplishments around all that. So thanks for sharing, and I know I'll be lighting a candle for you and have really been praying every day for you for this ongoing situation that you're in, and we're just all thinking about you as you make your transition, and hopefully it'll be the same way that you might feel reluctant now, but maybe some amazing things will come out of this new place that you're moving to. Godspeed.
Thank you. I am sure of it. I am. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure that there will be magic dead ahead. So maybe that's not the right expression, but straight ahead. Yeah. So thanks, gorgeous Oracle. I love you. Thank you.
So amazing. Yeah. To find peace beneath the shadow of your wings, to trust that Christ movement, wherever it takes us through all of these different, whatever shows up. We don't know exactly why the movement happens all the time, but if we trust it, it might be we're supposed to meet somebody, we're supposed to have some encounter, we're supposed to teach something to somebody else, we're supposed to see something, learn something, and all of the above. Usually it's all of the above. But if we trust that, then we're open to each of these things that we're being moved into. And I can't state it enough just how grateful I am for so many in this space, but especially you, Tracy, and you, Lila, for your dedication to that and just the growth and movement through that. So thank you. Thank you for the kind words, and right back at you. So I love you all so very much. I'll throw it open again. If anyone else has anything to say or share before we play these songs out, feel free.
Yeah, like your encounter with the hot tow truck girls. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's comical moments for sure. Hey, Roseanne, go ahead.
Oh, I just have to add in here because I was expressing to Justin all the same sentiments that you guys have been talking about, and I just like earlier today, and I just like to add Tracy and Lila into this also because I've seen you guys over the last 4 years, all three of you. I know God has really special plans for you because we've all been through a lot of stuff, and I've been through a lot of stuff in my life, but it's more in the past, and just watching you guys, the way you handle situations, and you all just make the most of it and handle yourself with such grace and clarity, and you're such a a spirit for the rest of us, and how you handle yourself. So I really want to just thank you all for always, when you get handed stuff, you rise to the occasion. You make lemonade all the time. So yeah, I just want to thank you, and all the rest of you too. I mean, but I specifically feel like Justin, Lila, and Tracy have just gone, yeah. Like I said, God has really special plans for you. So thanks so much. Love you guys all.
Thanks, Roseanne. Appreciate you. Yeah, we got to spend a couple of days got there, dropped Matt off, and then I was glad to get to spend a couple nights with Jill and Roseanne. A really, really wonderful time just before heading back here. So really appreciate you, and thanks for the kind words. And I see Jill popping in here too. Go ahead, Jill.
Hi, I actually just wanted to add the same regards, because right after I spoke, and we spoke of what had happened, but it was in that amazing journey, then, to hear Tracy, and literally that's, I was going to, share it with Matt later. Same thing, like you hear that, or like what, Lila's endured, and that's it, like whatever would happen, that you guys are okay, and it's like nothing compared to these trials and tribulations and health issues that people are going through. And no matter what Lila's going through, she's always right there to offer so much gnosis and support on so many different levels to everyone. And this family is just beautiful, and I'm really so grateful to be a part of it.
Thanks, Jill. Appreciate you. Thanks for the kindness. And yeah, so glad that you're a part of it as well. Truly. All right. Anyone else, or we want to jump to these songs? I'll just give a second. No worries. I'm just want to make sure anyone who wants to has an opportunity, but we can certainly jump to that. All right. Well, let's jump to these songs. And Tracy, I know you're going to love when you hear them. If you like the lyrics that much, you're going to absolutely love listening to these. I cannot recommend this album enough because, like I said, I had a hard time even picking these because there's a lot of really great ones on there. So definitely recommend checking out the lyric or the album. A lot of great stuff in here, but let's enjoy these two songs. So starting with Malibu and then ending with Rushmere. I love you all so very much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And yeah, we'll keep on. And I imagine we'll do a watch party tomorrow night. And did want to say, so most likely on Sunday, I'm gonna be having Gabriel Miguel, who is the founder of the Anastasia Foundation, who is like heading up it started out as just in the US, but all over the world now, a group of people who are dedicated towards the Ringing Cedar series. So if you're unfamiliar with that series, it's basically everything that we're aligned with. It's a wonderful group of people, and he's done phenomenal work over the past 10 years. He's about my age, just a couple years younger, and has done phenomenal work of organizing that space. And he's got some really exciting things to share. So I'm glad to have him on and introduce you guys to that community, because it's, as I said, it's very aligned with everything that we talk about. So yeah, it's just a great space to integrate with. So looking forward to that. That'll be Sunday, I think we said we're going to do 3 p.m. Eastern, so noon Pacific on Sunday, but I'll make sure to get an announcement out soon on that. But yeah, looking forward to that. And yeah, love you all so very much.
Wow, that's so exciting. Yay, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, truly. I'm pretty stoked about it. He's a great guy. I might have mentioned on a live before, but I had an opportunity to hang with him in Asheville when I was down that way, and just a really, really great guy. So definitely very dedicated to this, isn't interested in money or anything that he's like, the amount of money he's poured into this to make it happen just shows his dedication to the belief behind the word and what's being shared, because it's the truth. So the more that we can get behind it, and that's why I loved it so much, because everything I read in it was like, oh, yep, that's what we talked about. Yep, that's right. That's spot on. And here we go. So it's just a whole nother group of people who are on board with a lot of stuff. So yeah, looking forward to that. But I'll make sure to do a post. Oh, go ahead, Paula.
I'll just make it really quick. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there.
Okay. I just, as we sat around the table when you arrived, and how cool it is that people are being brought into your lives for a reason, because there sat Matt with a necklace that I recognized, and he told me he had gotten it from his mom, and where they had gotten it through the Angel Network, I think. Anyway, I had seen that necklace, and then Matt looks at my necklace and says, "Is that ringing cedars?" And I said, "Yes." And it just was like, I don't always wear that. Don't ask me why I did that day. It's just fun to watch how spirit brings us together the way we should.
Truly, it's magnificent every single time, the synchronicities that pop up. And yeah, I saw you wearing that, and I was like, hey, Gabriel just gave me one that looks exactly like it, which, if you're not familiar with the series, within the first couple chapters, they talk about wearing a piece of the ringing cedars of Russia, which is this special type of cedar that only grows in that climate, that has these incredible qualities to it. And they call it a ringing cedar because when the cedar reaches a certain point in its lifetime, it actually emits a ringing noise to offer itself to be used, for its wood to be used. And so it's this magical, and it only happens like when it's well old enough to do so, but it actually asks to be utilized, to give itself in service. And so along with the pine nuts that come from it, has incredibly healing properties, and it's quite magical. Everything around it is quite magical. But wearing a piece of a ringing cedar around your neck is supposed to be very grounding and healing to wear as well. So when I saw Paula was wearing the same one that or similar to what Gabriel had just gave me, I was like, hey, is that a ringing cedar? So it just works out.
Yeah, it was fun.
Definitely. Well, thanks for sharing that, Paula. And yeah, we'll go ahead and close out with these songs. And again, just have a wonderful rest of your day. Sending love out to you all. Take care, everybody. And we'll talk to you next time. Bye, everyone.